What is up, everyone? I'm Branch with Korbin's Archery. Today I'm going to be diving into what my potential bow setup is for the upcoming 2025 hunting season. This is a bow that I've really liked for the last 2 years. I'm going to be sticking with it at least for the beginning of hunting season. Now, if you know me, I'm not someone who tinkers and changes out as much as others. I do mess around with products in the shop to get a good feel for them, understanding of them, what I like, don't like, so that way I can help the customer out. But on my personal stuff, I really like to find what works and run with it. Now, this is the Lift 33, the longer axle-to-axle bow, so it fits me really good. I like the axle-to-axle on that bow. It's very forgiving. The draw cycle's nice. Really good speeds out of it. Does everything I want it to. Now for whitetail, may try 29.5 just to get it into a tree stand, get into a pop-up blind. I know for now, at least into early whitetail season, I'll be running this setup. And then once the new bows drop in November, we'll see where we go from there. First, we'll kind of start with the specs of my bow. This is going to be at 28.5, 70 pounds with 85% let off. So very, very common specs that you'll see. This is going to be shooting about 285 with a 435 grain arrow, which is awesome. Does everything I want it to do, kill anything that I want to in North America. Feel very confident in this setup. First up, we'll start with kind of our sight. The sight is, I've had this sight for a pretty long time now. This is something that I could try out, but I really like this one. This is going to be the Black Gold Ascent Verdict. I have it ran as a 4-pin, and I have all green fibers. So what I found shooting tack events and shooting this setup is I see green the best of all the colors. So I decided to go with the green because I can see those really, really well. I've also got my bottom pin. My bottom pin is going to be my floater out to different distances. It is a 10 thousandths fiber. On my top 3 pins, they're going to be 19 thousandths fiber. That way it gets dark and I'm whitetail hunting, I've got a bigger pin that's going to capture more light. I don't have to worry about it. If I do have to make a longer shot, on my mule deer hunt or whatnot, I've got that bottom pin with a smaller fiber to help me be a little bit more accurate. 4-pin, the reason I'm going with a 4-pin is shooting tack events, shooting longer, just shooting events where I kind of have to pin gap. I found between 50 and 60, I was the most inconsistent at pin gapping. All 4 of these other pins, pin gapping between them, I had really no major issues. I felt pretty confident and pretty accurate pin gapping. But I noticed when I got up to 50 and 60, my up and down impacts were not as consistent, not as good. So I decided to take that bottom pin out. I feel I've got a pretty good chance on most animals to get a range if they're outwards of 50 yards. So 20, 30, 40, 50, I feel like it could be quick, hectic. Past that, I feel like I've got a pretty good chance to set my sight and make a good shot. I've got a tape on here that I printed off from Precision Cut Archery. I put a little color in there so I can see a little bit better. It's just shipping label paper, and I put clear shipping tape over the top of that. So don't have any issues when it gets wet. Does a pretty good job, sticks on there well, and I got it up to 130 yards versus the 100 yards that the Black Golds will come with. Smooth dial, got all the axis adjustments that I want. Now we'll kind of move into the rest. I still have the same rest on here. This is going to be a Hamsey Epsilon. I felt it up all inside this riser, so it's really, really quiet. Let me see if I can pull my arrow out. I don't have any issues when it's rattling. I mean, it's quiet, so it's all in that is all felted up. So if I'm moving around and walking, it doesn't bother me. I typically, if I am walking, I've got this finger over the top. That's not a big major deal to me. But really like the Hamsey, it's a very, very consistent rest. It's very simple. As you draw back, the limbs compress, taking tension off this cord. Once you shoot, it pulls it back down. So there's not really a whole lot that can go wrong with it. Very consistent. I can mess with it to adjust the timing and how long I want it to stay up in contact with my arrow. And like I said, never had any issues with it. Moving on to the stabilizers. These are going to be the bridge lock stabilizers. I was running the AE Mountain Series, which are a very, very good bar, but playing with these, you can definitely tell the difference between the sound and vibration. It holds better in the wind because there's just less for that wind to grab onto and pull you. So that wind kind of seems to run through those gaps and holds a lot better. I feel like I can run a little bit less weight than I typically do, and it seems to, my pin seems to settle down. And this is going to be a 12-inch on the front Now I've got this one running about like an 8-inch. I've ran it up a little bit. I think it's a 12-inch as well, and I've ran it up, and I can play with that if I want. So really impressed with these stabilizers. They are pricey, but there's I've noticed a major difference in especially the quietness of the bow, the vibration, and I've had to use less weight, which is nice. Now on the grip, I have the B-Real 2.0 grip. I've messed with a few, just trying to see what's comfortable. This grip is very consistent in terms of that bow not wanting to kick left or right. Playing with the stock grip, that bow, if you make a marginal shot, I can feel it, and then I can see it impact downrange. So that flat back does a really good job. Even if I'm bare shaft tuning, I can tell the difference when I'm shooting this grip versus other grips. So I really like the grip. Now, I'm going to say it's not my favorite in terms of comfort. I honestly like the stock Matthews grip more in terms of comfort. It feels nice in the hand, but when it comes down to accuracy and consistency, just hard to beat this one. Really tacky. If it gets wet, you still have some grip on there, and just been a good fan of it. In terms of the limb legs, I always tell anyone, if you haven't had a pair of limb legs like this, and then you get a pair and lose it, you'll be regretting it. These things are awesome. I keep these on my bow all the time. I take it on my mule deer hunt. If I'm glassing, I can set it down, pick up my glass, put it back down, and then keep on going. Whitetail hunting, if I'm in a pop-up line, set it right next to me. Now, if I am in a tree stand, I might take it off and set it, set it next to me or hang it on in the tree. But I do like it. This stays on the bow almost all the time. There's really not a time I can think of intentionally taking it off other than being in a tree stand. And then this is going to be a low pro quiver. The low pro quiver is an awesome quiver design. It is super low profile. I used to not want to run a quiver just because I hate how bulky they are. They kind of get in the way. They stick out a little bit further. They throw off how your bubble's leaning. I keep this sucker on there, and it's really easy to take off when I need to. I like that it's got a spot back here for my arrow. Put it in, and then this arrow is ready to go. So I typically grab my first arrow from here, put it in, knock it in if I'm in the tree stand or whatever, and then this is going to be my secondary arrow for a follow-up shot, anything like that. So really easy and nice to get to this arrow. I like that design. Holds my arrows really well, and there's no rattle or extra vibration that you would get with a cheaper quiver or a quiver that didn't have 2 points of contact. So this quiver, there's no movement on that. Most quivers that you have will just have the 1 point of contact coming off your sight bracket, and there's going to be some more extra vibration involved. On my peep, I believe this is a 5/32. I was running a 13/16 peep, and I felt like it was just a little too big, so I dropped a little bit in size, and it lines up with my housing better. This is I don't even know which brand this is. I found this and threw it in, and it does a good job. Works really well. For strings, I really like the gas strings. So my cables are going to be gas. Is kind of funny. And then my main string is going to be match. I had a little nick in my string, and so I replaced it with a match bowstring we had. I'm probably going to get a full new set because these have had quite a few shots on them. A little mix match was kind of weird, but it works. It tunes. It shoots good. It stays in time. So really don't have any issues with it. Now I will put a fresh set of gas strings on for hunting season at some point, just to be ready to rock and roll. Now you may be wondering what this little thing is. This is going to be the Painted Arrow Mag Pro GP for GoPro. So I have a little GoPro that I can put on when I'm hunting. I've done a few videos. This is new. I haven't got to use this except for on a hog hunt. Put it on there, got some cool footage with that. I will be using it for whitetail. I haven't decided for mule deer. There's just too much going on. I'm not at the point where I want to sacrifice it for some footage. So may or may not be running the GoPro for my mule deer hunt. We'll be trying it out for some whitetail, and hopefully we can get some really cool footage with that. I'm excited about that. Now moving on, we'll kind of break into my release. I typically shoot a hinge. I've shot a hinge for the last 3 years, like the same hinge, never swapped. And I picked up a thumb button to really mess with. This is the Carter First Choice, and I really liked it. It's super duper crisp. Now it is a little on the loud side, so I'm still contemplating if I'm going to want to run that in the whitetail wood just because it is louder. I think I'd be just fine but something for me to consider. For my arrow, this is going to be a VAP TKO. I went with the 4mm option because I like how they fly in the wind and also the penetration. I went back and forth with the VAP SS and the VAP TKO, and I decided to go with a little bit of weight savings with the VAP TKO. I also dropped to a 350 spine. I say drop, my specs I could shoot between a 350 and 300 and do just fine, but I typically tell people rather be a little bit stiff than a little weak. I did a few things to kind of counteract that, to not have to worry about being too weak. I put a 4-fletch with a wrap on there to stiffen the arrow. Also cut this arrow pretty short. There's not much space between the end of where my launcher blade is and the end of this outsert. So cut it short. I got my weight where I want it. This is 435, and so still getting good speed. Like I said, 285 with this arrow. I've got a 75 grain outsert on the front end. I went with the 75 grain because it has a stainless steel post, so a little bit more durable. That's going to be my biggest complaint with some of your 4mm options, is the durability on the front end. Once those bend, it can be a major pain to try and get them out without damaging the carbon. So I wanted to go with a 75 because it had that stainless steel post, and I've been very, very pleased with it. It blows through pigs, whitetail into the ground, and I can pick the arrow up and spin it and it's still staying straight. So that's kind of was my goal with this setup. I put a lot of thought and effort into choosing everything about this arrow. So really, really like the 75 grain outsert on the front end. This is just going to have the stock AE IP knock. Run these in my target arrows. Really good knock. Very durable, very consistent, very accurate. Clips on there well, and there's no complaints that I have with that. These are going to be the Tack Driver 2.25s with a slight left offset. Flies really good, shoots really good. Now I have done testing with a 3-fletch with a strong left helical, and I can't say there's much of a difference to justify fletching 4 fletches, honestly, but I've got them set up and that's what I've been running with. I think at longer distance this may be a little bit more accurate, just a little less drag, and doesn't kind of have that parachute effect, and I'm talking past 100 yards, so nothing to shake a stick at really. But if you're wanting to shoot longer distance, I've really been impressed with this setup. Does a good job steering my broadheads. Now I've shot a lot of different broadheads, kind of testing what's accurate. The Slick Trick standard's always going to be at the top or just right there at first or second place. So really like how the Slick Trick standard flies. A very, very accurate broadhead. It's a 4-blade, which is going to put a hole rather than like a 3-blade slit. Kind of puts like a little slug hole. My blood trails with this broadhead are great. It typically blows right through, no issues. Pick up the arrow and ready to go. Durability of the blades and the ferrule is not the best. Luckily, you do get 4 in a pack for 3. After I shoot something, I'll pick it up, maybe polish off the blades with like a cheap sharpener or something, and have them ready to go for pigs. But it's really a razor blade on the end. They're incredibly sharp. For whitetail, I like to try out different heads, mechanicals, so I can give a good feedback to y'all. But for my mule deer hunt, I'll probably have this ready to go, and maybe a mechanical. Just haven't quite decided yet. But for now, Slick Trick Standard is going to be my go-to. If I need something to pinch, I want something I trust. I love this head. And I believe that's going to be it for my setup this year. I've got whitetail hunting, and I've got a mule deer hunt in January. I'm super excited about that, and this setup I feel very confident with. Like I said, we may see something different depending on what they drop in November, but I know that this bow is going to be rocking and rolling with me in the beginning of the year at least, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. We'd love to hear what y'all have coming up in hunting season, y'all setups and y'all success stories as hunting season gets going. We're super excited for that, and we do love to hear in the shops the deer y'all get, the animals y'all kill. It's super exciting for us to be a part of that. So if y'all would, just drop some comments below about your favorite hunt story, your favorite setups. Make sure to like and subscribe because it helps us out, and it's coming. Hunt season will be here before we know it, and we're ready. And thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a great day.